Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be why the educated empath always wins. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please subscribe. So you're on the channel, you're getting the education, the wisdom on the narcissistic cycle. You're understanding that you perhaps have endured a narcissistic relationship, or perhaps many. The further you go down the rabbit hole on narcissism, the more you identify and get the education about individuals that perhaps were in your life, are in your life, and or will be in the future. And you now can understand that you need to have boundaries and you need to not be a people pleaser, etc. Another part, and by the way, that's one of the things that ties us here on the channel. If you've gone through the narcissistic cycle, if you're on the channel and you haven't gone through it and you're getting the wisdom, God bless you, that's beautiful. You are now entering a different level of education, which is a good thing. In other words, you're preparing for the future. Great job. For those of us who have gone through the relationship, we understand that we need to get more and more educated on the topic so we can insulate ourselves and protect ourselves and save our energy for ourselves. Empathy is another thing I mention on the channel frequently. If you're an empath, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Empathy is the ability to place yourself in another individual's shoes. It means perhaps you can shed a tear and not feel bad about it. It means that you're an authentic individual and that you experience a wide range of emotions and you embrace your emotions. You don't hold them back. That is a beautiful thing if you're an empath. Some people on the planet believe empathy doesn't exist. I don't subscribe to that camp at all. I know for a fact it exists because I am one of them and I've always known it. People I believe that don't believe that empathy exists, honestly, they are not looking through the world in a proper lens. What they're doing is they're seeing things very myopic and they're looking at things their way. And this possibly is because they don't have empathy. I'm not saying they do or don't. I'm saying that empathy exists. You're on the channel. Most likely you are an empath or have a high degree of empathy. Now, if you put those two things together, you coming through the narcissistic relationship and rising through the ashes like a phoenix, that is what it took for you to conquer the narcissistic relationship. And yes, you still have some good days and some challenging days. I get it. It's the healing path. The healing path is not linear. Remember, in time, in your time, you will heal. But many of you have now reached that pinnacle of indifference, that mountaintop of indifference when you don't care about the narcissist. They're in the past and that's the way it is. Another thing is if you couple that experience with your empathy and you realize that perhaps throughout the relationship when you were in the narcissistic relationship, your empathy was weaponized against you. Perhaps you didn't even know you were an empath. Perhaps this is your first video you're consuming and you're getting a light bulb moment and saying, oh my gosh, I am an empath. I didn't even realize that. There are many people on the channel and in the community recently who have never even heard of the word empath. They didn't know that they were one and they're discovering that. That is a beautiful thing. Now, if you combine the two, the educated empath always wins. Just like the thumbnail mentions, this is an unbeatable combination. And I'll explain this to you right now. When you get the wisdom on narcissism because you experienced the relationship or many relationships, and now you've identified you're an empath and you've actually healed properly, you are not only a diamond in the rough, you are one in hundreds of millions of people. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. You're one in millions of people because you have two things that most people haven't had the opportunity to do and or conquer and or recognize, which means this. You were in a narcissistic relationship. You're now thriving. You've now come through the fire. You understood how it took you down, how it almost took you out, if you get my point. January 6, 2021 for me. And then you understand that your empathy was weaponized against you. That was a catalyst. That was the fuel that kept the narcissist going because you didn't want to quit on the relationship. You didn't want to stop. You wanted to keep giving because you always thought you would get back to that euphoric stage and you were being strung along in the relationship. You were given little breadcrumbs of hope, of love, fake love, of inspiration, of togetherness, of future faking. The whole time you were experiencing gaslighting, stonewalling, the smear campaign, the silent treatment, ghosting, having this individual not even reply or respond to your texts while they were out at all hours of the night and or allegedly away on workcations or whatever they're doing, who knows. Point being, you now have coupled those two things. You've now conquered the narcissistic relationship and now you recognize you're an empath. Think about it. How many empaths do you know? I'm talking real, genuine empaths. You don't know many. I know for a fact you don't. Why? Because I don't know many. And the other thing is narcissistic abuse. How many people do you know have gone through the narcissistic relationship like you have? Again, not many people. And you know how I know that? I'll tell you how. Because every time you try to communicate with somebody in your circle, or in the past try to communicate with someone in your circle that the relationship was off and you couldn't quite figure it out, then you discovered you were in a narcissistic relationship, the people around you couldn't wrap their head around it because they didn't experience it. They didn't know what you were talking about. It was like you were speaking a foreign language. So couple those two things together. This is an unbeatable combination. It sincerely is. This is why the educated empath always wins, because now we understand, and or we are understanding, that where we place our attention is where we place our energy. We now limit those individuals who will enter our social circle. We now screen people, and in other words, we're very cautious when we enter a romantic relationship. We now don't drop what we're doing at the drop of a hat to help out a complete stranger, or we do not accept toxic individuals' phone calls 7 days a week just because they called us when they wanted to communicate with us, but all they wanted to do was have us be a sounding board and perhaps even fall asleep on us when we were communicating. Understand these messages. People on the planet, they want to consume your energy. They want to take up your time. Many times they want what you have, which in this case is empathy, time, love. All of the beautiful abundance that you possess, that's what the narcissist wanted. And they had it, they kept it for a period of time. Again, which was the length of the relationship. But post-relationship, let's say you were discarded, did anyone come knock on your door and check in on you? No, they didn't. I can assure you, it didn't happen with me. Did anybody take your side of any of the smear campaign? No, they didn't. Why? Because the smear campaign was well underway long before you were discarded. It was underway very shortly thereafter you entered the devaluation stage or the narcissistic fog. Point being, no one checked in on you, and they showed themselves and they weeded themselves out, but you fought through this by yourself. You had to journal, you had to meditate, you had to write, you had to read, you had to consume videos, you had to have sleepless nights. Perhaps you even experienced the dark night of the soul. Some people experienced it many times. I, for one, experienced it once, and I do not want to experience that ever again. One of the most challenging times of my entire life. Having said all of these things, the educated empath now knows who they are. They don't put others in front of themselves any longer. They don't listen to the false narrative. They now trust their intuition and their instincts. They pay attention to red flags. And in the past, perhaps they gave people many chances. Now they give them perhaps one chance, maybe two. I'm of the camp of a 2-strike rule these days. Not 3 strikes, not 1, because we all make mistakes, and many times people deserve a second opportunity. I know what it's like. But a 2-strike rule, which is how I live my life, is what I would suggest for you. Just understand that if somebody does something once and they do it again, well, that's now become a little pattern, hasn't it? Yes, it has. And it's more likely to happen again and again and again. That's why I use the 2-strike rule. But the educated empath, it's an unbeatable combination. Really understand the message. Many people on the planet think empathy is a weakness. They sincerely do. That's not the case. Empathy is a superpower. And if you couple it with you coming through the narcissistic abusive cycle, in other words, you rising through the ashes like a phoenix, and you beating this narcissistic relationship, you conquering the demons, you figuring out childhood wounds, you processing everything, and you are honest and authentic with yourself. When you couple those things together, you're unbeatable. You are a absolutely amazing super human being. Are you still a human being? Absolutely, that's what we all are. The difference is you now have a skill set that many people would want. You have a skill set that many people can't get. You have a skill set that there are so few of us who have actually done this and put the pieces together. Think about this for a minute. Really get this message. Take this away. And I hope you're enjoying the video, because I am certainly loving doing this one. And I've waited a while to do this one. When you were in the relationship with the narcissist, you did not know what you were up against, most likely. You had to find channels like mine, or you had to research on YouTube or on Google, like spouse won't talk to me, or rage fit, or whatever. And then all of a sudden you went down the rabbit hole, and boom, you found out one key word. What was it? It was narcissism. That's right. That's when you first had your light bulb moment. You're like, oh my gosh, this is real. It exists. And I'm in a relationship like that. And there are other people that are like that around me. Okay, that's a pivotal point in your life. Really get what I'm sharing with you. The next part is, if you know you are an empath, or perhaps you just figured it out recently, that is a gift from above. Having empathy is a huge thing. Many people, again, like I told you, they want to tear you down and say you're weak and say toughen up, don't show your emotions. That's not true. It's because they don't possess the empathy that you have, and they're trying to keep you down. They're trying to repress you. They don't want you to glow and be abundant. So now think how hard it was for you to figure out that you were in a narcissistic relationship. Because again, nobody taught you this in school. Remember that. You had to figure this out on your own. So that's number one. That wasn't a coincidence. It was meant for you to figure this out. Number two, if you've identified, or in the past, like I did when I was a tiny little kid, or if you identified recently that you're an empath, that's a gift. You now have two parts of a huge creation of what makes you you, two parts of what makes you you. This is absolutely so powerful. I don't even think many people can realize it. And I am letting you know firsthand, because these two things are just two of the things that make up me. We are all individuals. We all have things that we can and cannot do. We're all different. That's why we all have fingerprints that are unique to ourselves. If you've come through the narcissistic abusive cycle and you've actually healed properly and you've put them in the past, that is something that not many people do. Many people don't survive post-narcissistic relationship, or even when they're in it. Many people never get the wisdom. Many people never have the craving or the yearning to get the education. Understand that. The next part is, if you're an empath, you now know that your empathy was weaponized against you by an individual who was presenting themselves to be somebody that they weren't. Now you have your empathy back. Now you have a faucet of empathy that you can turn on and turn off whenever you want to do so. In the past, it was just a free-flowing faucet. You were giving your empathy to anybody, literally anybody, including complete strangers, coworkers who didn't deserve it, neighbors, family members, strangers, whomever. Now you don't do that. Now you understand, wait a minute, is my cup full? Can I contribute? And does this person deserve my empathy? Yes and yes. Okay, then I will do so. But you'll do it in your time, when you are ready. You don't just drop whatever you're doing to accommodate another individual anymore. That's what the narcissist wanted you doing, and that's what you were doing for the body of the relationship. Those days are over. You're now on your path, on the healing path. And remember, before I close the video out, the healing path is not linear. We are all on the healing path, headed in the same direction, simply taking different footsteps. If you are the educated empath, God bless you. I am telling you right now, because I am one of them, you are a very strong individual. You are beautiful, you are blessed, you are abundant. I really don't even know if you know how powerful you are, but you are. So harness your energy, save your empathy, understand what you've conquered, and understand that you cannot enter another narcissistic relationship ever again. Have boundaries and move forward. Continue to become the best version of yourself possible. So guys, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it. From the beautiful Carolinas, this is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon. Stay true, stay blessed. Continue to become awakened and aware. Understand you are the priority. And if you are an educated empath, God bless you. I'm sending you a huge virtual hug. I believe many people in the community are, or have the ability to be these people, but I certainly am one, and my hope is you are one. God bless you. I love you all. Remember, no matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. I love you. Have a great afternoon, and I will talk to you tomorrow. All right. Bye, guys. And go empaths. I love you guys. Bye.